Today I'm going to share with you 6 steps on how to find inner peace and greater levels of fulfillment. And they come from a senior Llama that shared with me when I was studying Tibetan Buddhism recently. These incredible steps to finding a greater level of harmony in your life. One of the things that I really loved about this beautiful 14th Shamar Rinpoche, he said, the purpose is to free the mind of constant thinking and the confusion that goes along with it. This is such a beautiful summary of the spiritual path. Peace is not about forcing the mind to be blank. It's about gently releasing the patterns, desires, distractions, and afflictions that keep the mind in agitation and confusion. Now, the first of these 6 steps is to reside in a conducive place. And what this means is that it means to not necessarily move off to the Himalayas and live in an ashram or a monastery or live by a quiet lake. It means becoming aware of the space that we spend our time in, the people we surround ourselves with, the media we consume, the energy we allow into our lives. Your environment shapes your nervous system. If you're constantly surrounding yourself with noise and conflict and clutter and stimulation, it becomes very difficult for the mind to settle. But when you create even small pockets of calm, a clean room, a quiet morning ritual, a peaceful meditation, time in nature, the mind begins to receive a different message. It starts to soften. A conducive place is not only external, it is internal as well. It is the inner atmosphere that we cultivate through meditation, breath, kindness, and awareness. Now, the second one is to minimize your desires. Now, this is important. We're not saying to eradicate desires. That's not actually the case. We're always going to have desires. We have desire to even be alive. That is a desire. This can sound confronting in a world that constantly tells us that we need to have more. More success, more followers, more money, more recognition, more experiences, more things. But desire is often like a fire. The more we feed it, the more it wants. Minimal desires doesn't mean we have to stop having dreams or goals or aspirations. It means to stop allowing desire to control our peace, when we can still create, build, serve, love, and grow, but without being possessed by the endless feeling that something is missing. There is a beautiful freedom that comes when we realize we don't need as much as we thought we did. Peace begins when the mind stops saying, I'll be happy when. Now, the third one is contentment, which kind of follows on from what we're just talking about. Contentment is one of the most underrated spiritual qualities. It's the ability to be here now and recognize that this moment already contains enough. It doesn't mean life is perfect. It means we don't need to make changes to improve our circumstances. It means we can stop postponing peace until everything looks exactly the way we want it to. Contentment says, I can still grow, but I don't have to reject this moment to do so. When we practice contentment, gratitude naturally arises. We begin to appreciate simple things, again, the breath, the body, a cup of tea, the morning light, a conversation, a quiet moment, the gift of being alive. Fulfillment is not always found in extraordinary moments. Often it is hidden in the ordinary moments that we've been too busy to notice. Now, the fourth one is to abandon too many activities. And this one is very special and relevant in today's world. Most people are not lacking information, options, invitations, opportunities, or things to do. They're lacking space. They're lacking the ability to be. We live in an age of constant activity. Our calendars are full, our phones are full, our minds are full. We're always responding, planning, scrolling, chasing, organizing, fixing, producing. But the soul, the body, the mind, it needs rest, it needs space. When we abandon unnecessary activity, we're not becoming lazy, we're becoming discerning. We begin to ask what is truly important, what is nourishing, what is aligned, what is just noise, what am I doing out of habit, fear, obligation, or avoidance. Sometimes the most spiritual thing we can do is to simplify. Not every invitation needs a yes. Not every thought needs attention. Not every task needs to be done today. Not every path needs to be followed. Peace requires room to breathe. Now, the fifth one is keeping pure ethics. Ethics are not simple rules or restrictions. They are the foundation of a peaceful mind. When we live out of alignment, when we lie, when we manipulate, when we harm, gossip, we act from greed, we betray our deeper knowing. The mind becomes disturbed. Even if nobody knows, we still experience this disturbance. And that inner knowing creates tension. Pure ethics means living in a way that allows us to rest peacefully within ourselves. It means choosing honesty, kindness, compassion, integrity, not harm, as much as we can. Of course, none of us are perfect, and this is not about guilt or shame. It's about becoming more conscious of how our actions are affecting our mind, our relationships, and the world around us. When our outer life aligns with our inner values, peace becomes much more accessible. And finally, the last one is to abandon afflictions. This means in Buddhist teachings, these afflictions are the mental patterns that disturb the natural clarity of the mind. Attachment says, I need this to be happy. Aversion says, I cannot be at peace unless this goes away. Ignorance forgets our true nature and lets us get lost in confusion, reactivity, and an identification with thought. These afflictions, which are the tendencies of your mind, are not enemies to hate. They are patterns to understand. Through meditation and self-awareness, we begin to see them more clearly. We notice how attachments tighten the mind. We notice how aversion creates resistance. We notice how ignorance keeps us trapped in old stories. And slowly, with practice, we begin to loosen the grip. This is where meditation becomes so powerful. Meditation gives us the space to observe the mind rather than be ruled by it. It helps us step out of the endless stream of thinking and return to the stillness that has always been there underneath the thoughts. Peace is not something we have to manufacture. It is something we simply uncover. When the mind becomes less crowded with desire, distraction, agitation, and confusion, our natural state begins to shine through. Now, these 6 steps, they're not always easy, but they ask us to live with more awareness, to simplify, to choose wisely, to become intimate with our own mind, and to let go of what no longer serves us. But the reward is profound, a life with less inner conflict, less chasing, less reactivity, less confusion, more presence, more clarity, more gratitude, more fulfillment. And if you feel called to experience this for yourself, I'd love to invite you to learn to meditate with me. I have upcoming courses on Zoom. I also run courses in person in Sydney, sometimes Melbourne, and across Australia. So if you'd like to find out more about those courses, you can just email tom@tomcronin.com, or you can just leave a comment below, and I'll be in touch, and I'll share some more details about my upcoming courses.